Well, welcome back, Lane. Um I'm really enjoying showing you around Xcode and teaching you about iPhone programming. And I just wanted to check with you if you feel like you're getting kind of an understanding and inspired to build your own applications. Uh, what do you think? Cool. Okay. I uh, I think things are going really well too. So let's continue on, okay? So now that you've been learning quite a bit and have been in a way mastering these skills, um, I think this next application will will motivate you to apply your new learnings on the iPhone and then um, and then share it with your sister, uh, Jelly. So let's do it. Let's do another one. Um, so we'll just move you here, and we're gonna start up Xcode, and I'll be getting my thing set up. Okay, we're we're gonna create a new project, and this will just be a very simple single application view. And I'll be teaching you how to use the UI alert view. So you'll be able to pop up messages to users. Um, uh, and we'll call this one Teach Alert. And we won't be using storyboards at this point, but it's the iPhone. We'll create our application here. And the way we want to design this application is it'll simply pop up an alert view immediately upon loading the app. And where we can do this is straight in the code. We don't even need to touch the nib file. And in fact, we'll be using the viewDidLoad method within the view controller. And this viewDidLoad is a application lifecycle event. So there's a whole series of application life cycles, and the big picture of how this is working is, main will be triggered first, and it'll lead to, the application UI application main class to start to activate, and that gets the app delegate on board, and pretty soon there's this one single window, main window, that loads up. And then there's a whole series of views that get stacked on top of that single window. And within the app delegate, you have events triggering, such as or methods triggering in the application lifecycle, such as did finish launching with options. Application will resign active. Application did enter background. Application will enter foreground. Did become active, will terminate. So you can kind of get an idea of where each of these methods are happening in the life cycle. For example, did become active is part of it's becoming alive in the first place. But will terminate, that's towards the end of the life cycle, right? Did enter background, that's towards the end. But the area where we're going to load this UI alert view is going to be in viewDidLoad. So this is the view controller loading up, And right when it loads up, we want to call that UI alert view. So inside here is where we trigger that UI alert view. So we'll say UI alert view. So notice I was putting in lowercase letters, but CodeSense was matching it to this UI alert view. So that makes it easier. And we can just say lane alert. Okay. And that will be assigned to UI alert view alloc init with title. So it's the CodeSense is loading up the syntax structure for this UI alert view alloc init with title. And what we want to do, oh, I lost it, so I'm gonna sort of bring it back. So we want to bring those guys back, and let's line it up. So we just press enter there. So it'll be kind of easier to read if we line up these different arguments. And we just fill up these arguments with information. So init with title. So this is the title that will be appearing on the UI alert view. So we'll just say lane quick message. Okay. And then the message will be lane, your sister Jelly wants you to teach her iPhone. Oops. Programming. And we just set the delegate to nil. That won't be needed here. And then the cancel button will just be for you to press thank you. And we don't need other buttons on this particular example. Close off that line. And then finally we need to display that. So we created that object, that UI alert view in memory, and we loaded it up with initialization data. But now we need to call a method to cause it to become alive. And we'll take that object name and then we'll call the method show. And if you didn't already know that, you could of course look it up in the class reference. So here we're going to bring up the class reference for UI alert view, and we look at its tasks here, and we see here show. So that's to display. Displays the receiver using animation. So let's see if it worked. There. Lane, quick message. Lane, your sister Jelly wants you to teach her iPhone programming. Thank you. Now notice when we close it down, we bring up teach alert. It doesn't come up again. That's because the viewDidLoad method gets triggered when the view loads in the first place. The view is still present, so it's not calling viewDidLoad at this point when we go back and forth between the background and the foreground. And if we wanted it to appear every time it went to the foreground, then we would need to put our alert view at that position in the life cycle. So actually, let's try that. So let's copy that, comment it out from this location. So right now it shouldn't pop up anything when we start our app. So it's just that plain background. But then let's go into the app delegate, and we could put in did finish launching, but that's not gonna give it to us every time it goes into the foreground. So we'll put it right at this point and see if it behaves as we expect. It didn't do it. Oh, now it did do it. There, now it did it. That's interesting. Okay, so it looks like this this application will enter foreground. When you first run the app and it's loading, it doesn't call this method. So we can just stop this and we run it, and it doesn't light up the UI alert view. So this method wasn't called in the first time this loads up. But then when we go into the background state and then hit the application, that's when it does call the application will enter foreground. So you can kind of play around with understanding the life cycle of the application by using these alerts to. So in this way we discovered, okay, application will enter foreground. That wasn't triggered at the very first time you launch the app, but it is triggered when you're going back and forth between background and foreground. So that's working just fine. Great, let's move forward.